Hello, and thank you for joining me here today at Why the Book Wins. My name is Laura, and today I'm filming a bookshelf tour video. So I haven't done one of these in a year. The last one was May of last year. So I thought I would do another one. I have the same bookshelves, but we have moved since then, and of course my book collection has changed and just my shelf arrangement has changed in that time, so I thought it was time to do another one. And I know a lot of booktubers, when they do bookshelf tours, they show like each individual book. But I'm not going to do that. I'm just kind of going to go over shelf by shelf. And I used to have these more organized, and now there's still some organization, but for my OCD viewers out there, there's some shelves that are just kind of random. And even for me, it like almost pains me where I'm like, oh man, I wish this was more organized in a distinct way, but it is what it is. And ultimately, I'm very happy with the way my shelves look. And I am very particular with the books I own. So I always try to get first edition copies. I don't like paperbacks because paperbacks, they're not the first edition. A first edition, 99% of the time, is a hardcover. And then I also love like the special edition books like Folio Society and Suntop Press, vintage books, antique books, Easton Press, especially Easton Press Deluxe. And so I just love the special editions, the more valuable books. And also since my last bookshelf tour, I've sold some books too. And so one of them, I made a pretty nice profit off of it. It was my Folio Society edition of the Narnia books. I sold that and it went up in price quite a bit since when I bought it. So yeah, I just love book collecting. And then being able to resell them for a profit is always nice too. I've told my husband and my family, like, if I die, like, don't just donate these books because some of them are quite valuable. So I've put a lot of time and money and effort into my collection and I'm very proud of it. So yeah, let's just get right to it. Okay, so here is my bookshelf from a distance. And yeah, we'll just go through this shelf by shelf. So this is an on-air sign, obviously. I got this for Christmas since I, have my podcast and stuff. But behind it are all nonfiction books. So these, like starting from Kitchen Confidential on, these are all memoirs. And then the rest of them are just nonfiction. Actually, A Long Way Home is a memoir too, and so is This Boy's Life. So I guess I should move those. But anyway, so yeah, all of my nonfiction. Kitchen Confidential, I think, is like a second edition copy. Those first edition copies are very expensive because Anthony Bourdain died. I'm Glad My Mom Died is a signed first edition copy, which is very exciting. That book is so good and it was so popular, so I love that I have a first edition signed copy. And then spoiler alert is paperback. That is not a first edition, that is just a paperback, and I don't like not having a first edition, but I'm having a hard time just committing to buying that one. I love the book so much, but a first edition copy is like over $100, and I just haven't taken that leap yet. So right now I just have a paperback. But the reenactments, that is a first edition, and the first edition just happens to be a paperback. But anyway, so yeah, this is my nonfiction shelf. And moving right along to my Harry Potter shelf. So I have these awesome illustrated Harry Potters. They only have the first 5 books available, so I don't know how often they release them, but as the next 2 are released, I will of course buy them and add them to the collection. These next 2 are like first edition UK or something. Now I don't even remember, but they are pricey, and so I only have 4. Yeah, they're like $200 for the next ones, for the ones I don't have. And again, I just haven't wanted to take that financial leap into buying those books. So I only have the 4 right now, but I would like to get the rest of them. And then that's just a bookmark, a Harry Potter bookmark. But yeah, and then this is my Hufflepuff edition of books, which I think are just so cool and so cute. And obviously I'm a Hufflepuff. That's why I chose that, because they have these for each Harry Potter house. And this is just like a carving of my name that my dad made me growing up. And so I just kind of stuck it right there, and I think it looks pretty cute. And then moving over now to this shelf, which is sort of random because on one side I have Stephen King, which goes along with the Stephen King down there. But then here, so these blue books are like the Barnes & Noble, like leather-bound editions. And then the Jane Eyre is just another cool special edition that I got from Barnes & Noble. But I just kind of added the Jane Eyre here because I just needed some extra books to fill in the space. And so I just kind of chose that one. But yeah, these Barnes & Noble editions are really pretty, and I have this cute little fairy sphere thing. It's hard to see the fairy inside of it though. That's why I put these on the top shelf, was because I had these on a lower shelf, but you could see the fairy even less in the dark on a lower shelf. And so since this one gets better lighting, that is why I moved it up here. Anyway, yeah, I thought she went well with Peter Pan, obviously, because Peter Pan has fairies. But yeah, and so then this is the start of my Stephen King collection. I used to want to own every Stephen King book I read, but then there were a few of his I read that I just didn't like. And I was like, why should I own this if I didn't even like it? So, I mean, Firestarter and 4 Past Midnight, they're kind of, which I've only read one story from 4 Past Midnight, to be fair. But those ones I had already bought when I was wanting to buy every single one of his books I've read. Firestarter, I do think it's a cool cover, which I'm using one hand to hold the camera and one hand to hold the mic, but I will pull this one out so you can see the cover. So yeah, I do think that one, it's kind of cool looking. And it's one of his earlier books. So I am happy to own that one, even if I'm not like in love with that book. But anyway, this, by the way, is like a pop-out book version of The Girl Who Loved Tom Gordon, which is really cool. To like fit the space, I needed to have one of his books facing out. And it might seem cliche to have The Shining be the one that's on display, but you know what? I don't care. I love The Shining. This is not a first edition copy. First editions are like $1,000, but this one is an early edition. I think I paid like $150 for it. So it's an early edition and it does have the wraparound cover, because some of them, they're just green on the back, but I knew I wanted the wraparound cover. So yeah, I did a lot of research into what Shining edition I was going to get, because I would love to have a first edition copy, of course, but those are crazy expensive. So at the end of the day, I'm very happy with this specific edition. And the rest of these are all first editions. And this is the first edition paperback of The Shining and Misery, because those are my two favorite Stephen King books. So I have those in paperback. And The Green Mile was originally released, serialized in paperback. So this is a first edition of The Green Mile. Dreamcatcher too, so the book I read of his that made me realize I don't need to own all of his books was Billy Summers, which a lot of people like, but I didn't. And so Billy Summers I bought, but then I was like, why should I own it when I don't even like it? So you might think it's funny that I kept Dreamcatcher, but didn't keep Billy Summers, but I like Dreamcatcher better than Billy Summers. And yeah, I stand by that. Anyway, moving right along, which by the way, I have this fake vine right here because this is where the two bars are side by side and it's just kind of an eyesore. So I attached this vine to hide that. But moving right along, so right here we have my Suntub Press books. Well, first we have, these are Easton Press Deluxe. That Grapes of Wrath is, I think that's my most expensive book I own. But yeah, the Mary Shelley Frankenstein is an amazing edition. And then Suntub Press is Misery, I Am Legend, Dark Matter, Scanner Darkly. And yeah, that Misery edition is incredible. I have a whole video for it. It is so beautiful. And then Philip K. Dick and Charles Dickens, those two are Folio Society. But then Cold Mountain, that one is like no particular edition. It's just like a special first edition signed copy, but it's not like a specific publishing house. But that Cold Mountain book I got for a good deal. So that was really exciting, an exciting find. And then we have my Jeff Vandermeer section, and this little figurine is so perfect. The octopus fits for Bourne too, because Bourne is like kind of an octopus squid looking thing, kind of. But then in here we have like jellyfish, and yeah, I just thought it was very fitting for my Jeff Vandermeer section. And then moving over, these are some of my vintage and antique books. Sorry about the glares, by the way. But yeah, I forget the specifics. I think like vintage is anything that is 50 years, between 50 and 100 years old. And then antique is when it is over 100 years old. So all of these are at least 50 years or older. And the most expensive, like rare book here is The Power of the Dog. That book sells, I mean, last year when the movie came out, that book was selling for like thousands of dollars. And I got that one for a great price. I'm so proud to own that one. It was such a good find. Yeah, so exciting to buy that. I was looking... sorry about that. But I was looking for a Power of the Dog book for so long, and so I was so excited to finally find one. And this is just an awesome Roadrunner statue that I was wanting. I was wanting like just a Roadrunner figurine for so long. And then in Lake Havasu, I found this one at this like cool shop. And yeah, I just think it's so pretty. And that's like a special edition movie Power of the Dog book that I just kind of have in the background. Moving down now. So these books are, most of them are first editions. So if Beale Street Could Talk, I think that's like a 4th edition copy. And then these Steinbeck books are first edition facsimiles. And then with these, I believe all of these ones though are first editions. Oh, and actually What Moves the Dead, I don't know if that's first edition. I used to be really strict of only getting first editions, but at some point, like sometimes with newer releases, it's harder to find the first edition copies. But anyway, they're early editions at least. And Night Bitch, that one is signed. signed, so that's cool. This beach book, that is a first edition UK copy, and again, I got that for like $12, which is insane because it goes for like 100 or more. So excited to have that one. And this Julia Armfield one is a signed UK first edition as well. So yeah, I would love to get Bullet Train, the Japanese first edition, but I just haven't yet. So yeah, and some of these are kind of like my weird book section in a way, although I kind of broke that up. But I have that video of like weird books by female authors. So some of those are right here. But moving down now. So I have my cute little bookend, which is a movie camera, which is very fitting since I do book first movie videos. And so that is why it is right beside, but have you read the book? And then all of these are books that have been adapted into movies. I previously had just kind of a random assortment of books, but then I realized if I'm putting it next to this book and next to my camera, these all need to be books that have been adapted. So yeah. And this Hobbit edition is really cool. So this is one that I have a whole video for because it is just a really cool illustrated edition. Revolutionary Road, that's just a paperback. It is an early paperback, but a first edition copy, again, is really expensive. And the first edition copy is just so boring looking, the cover. So I have a hard time spending money on one that just is so uninteresting looking. But I love the book Revolutionary Road, though. So I got this vintage paperback. And moving over, this is just an assortment of first editions, I believe. Oh, Notes on an Execution, that is not a first edition, but the rest of these, I mean, the Green Knight books, those aren't first editions necessarily either. They're just like special editions. But anyway, the rest of these are first edition copies. So yeah, I guess I don't really have too much to say about this shelf, but yeah, let's move on up. So these are my Easton Press books. So those two are Easton Press Deluxe. These two are just regular Easton Press. Well, this blonde edition, that is Franklin Library, and it is signed. A lot of these are signed, by the way. Gone Girl is signed, Shutter Island is signed. And actually, that's it. But yeah, I just love these. I think they look so beautiful. Yeah, and then over here, we have my Chiltern Press. And then these ones, I forget what they're called. Macmillan Library or something. But yeah, I just think they're so cute, these blue and gold ones. And then these ones are just so beautiful. And right there is Sterling's Gold, which is a Mad Men book. But anyway, and then I have this cute little cat statue and cat locket thing. I love cats, but we can't own them because we're allergic. But I have these little statues in place of having a real cat. And I just love the way they look on their side too. I think it's so cool to stack books that way. So really happy with how that looks. And moving this way is my Folio Society. So these long books, I have one right here. Obviously that is sideways because it is such a huge book and it cannot go, like it cannot stand regularly because it's way too big. And I have another one like that right there. And so yeah, I was pretty proud when I had the idea to just put them on their side. So yeah, beloved Haunting of Hill House. This one is for the color purple, which this one too, the book jacket thing it comes in is just really pretty. Look at that. So yeah, so happy to own this edition. This is a recent purchase. And yeah, Rebecca Anne of Green Gables. I'm trying to think which one of these is the most valuable. It might be the Count of Monte Cristo because that's an old one. And again, I got that on Etsy actually for $60, which is an insanely good price. So I got lucky with that find. But yeah, I love Folio Society. Such beautiful books. I have my two other folios up there. So yeah, I love them. Such amazing books with incredible illustrations. And then moving down, we have more vintage and antique books. So Anne of the Island is a first edition copy. So proud of that. The other two Anne books are early editions, but they are not a first edition. But still, so happy to at least have one first edition. Tree Grows in Brooklyn, that is a first edition copy. So cool to have that. Nightmare Alley, that is first edition. And Stuart Little, first edition. Some of the others, they're not first editions, they're just vintage. So yeah, really love these books. They're just so cool. And I just love the old books too, because just think how like when it's 100 years old, like imagine how many different people have read that book or owned that book and just the things that book has seen, you know? But moving down, this is kind of a hodgepodge, which I put this bookshelf together backwards. Well, I put these bars on backwards. These are supposed to be on the back, but I did it wrong. So they're on the front and then I never fixed it. So it just kind of is what it is. But I have another bookend. And then, yeah, like some of these are first editions. That Charles Dickens, that's actually a Folio Society. And that is one of the books I have not yet read. I started David Copperfield, but I never finished it. So that's one of the rare books that I own that I have not read. But anyway, so yeah, A lot of these, like Dorian Gray, Frankenstein, Dracula, those ones are just special editions. These ones are first editions, but then the paperbacks, those are just early paperback editions that I own. Yeah, just a random mix. And honestly, the bottom shelves are just very random. Like this Harry Potter series, I'll probably donate, but I've kept it for sentimental reasons because these are the physical books I read when I read Harry Potter for the first time. These Winnie the Pooh books I've had since I was a kid. So yeah, some of these are just ones I've owned a long time and that I unpacked for the first time in years because we finally bought a house and I could fully unpack. But this shelf right here, so this Jane Eyre edition, I'll probably get rid of at some point, as well as this Harry Potter edition. I was going to collect all of the Harry Potter books that were like this, but I don't think I will, so I'll probably donate that at some point. But Old Boy, this is a manga, and I was going to do a book verse manga or a movie verse manga for Old Boy, but comic books just are not my preferred reading style, and so I paid a lot of money for these, not gonna lie, but I haven't read them. So I definitely want to read them. That way it wasn't a waste of money. I could always resell them too. But anyway, I do want to read them and I do want to do a book verse movie for Old Boy because I've heard such great things. I just haven't had the motivation to actually read a comic book. So yeah, anyway, haven't gotten myself to read them yet, but I do want to at some point. So yeah, that wraps it up for my bookshelf tour. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And thank you so much for watching. And yeah, I'm just so happy with how my bookshelves look right now. I love it. It's so beautiful. And I just love how unique it is, right? And even though they're kind of organized in a random way, I just love them. And I just love looking at my books. And I'm just so proud to own them. And that's something where I want my books, I want each one to be one where I look at it and I'm like, wow, I'm proud I own that edition, you know? So if it's just like a random book that makes me feel nothing, then I don't want to own it. Which, yeah, like the spoiler alert, when I look at that, I'm just like, ugh, why do I own that paperback? So I need to get the first edition so I can get rid of that paperback. But the book is so good. That's why I bought it to begin with. But anyway, thank you so much for watching and I will see you next time. Bye. And that was it for my bookshelf tour video. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Don't forget to like and subscribe and to comment down below your thoughts. And yeah, just thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for supporting this channel, and I will see you next time. Bye.